Hello there. Thank you for joining me for your Bridge USA Intern-Trainee Pre-Departure Orientation. My name is Chris Woye, and I'm a program coordinator with Greenheart Exchange. I will also be your host throughout this orientation. We're very excited that you're beginning your journey with us, and we hope that this orientation provides you with a ton of useful information. Of course, if you have any questions about this information, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. Our contact information will also be included in later portions of this presentation. The J1 Intern Trainee Program helps to foster the development of new international friendships and cross-cultural understanding. We at Greenheart understand that this is an exciting time for your professional development, and we want to provide you with a comprehensive guide to help prepare you for your experience here in the United States. There's a great deal of information to know, and we tried our absolute best to provide much of it in this orientation. These are some of the items that we'll cover throughout this orientation. These include a little bit more about the Career Advancement Program, pre-departure, program requirements, and much more. So you might be wondering, what is the purpose of CAP, or the Intern Trainee Program, and what role does Greenheart play in my program? You might also have questions about what your program fees cover. We'll touch on all these things momentarily. The Bridge USA Intern-Trainee Program is a 12 to 18-month foreign exchange program which is regulated by the U.S. Department of State, where certified, experienced, and high-quality foreign nationals come to the U.S. to receive training in their respective occupational field. The purpose of the program is to enhance the skills and expertise of exchange visitors in their academic or occupational fields through participation in structured and guided work-based training and internship programs, and to help improve participants' knowledge of American techniques, methodologies, and technology. Changing visa status. So the Bridge USA J1 visa serves as a temporary exchange program visa, which allows program participants to engage in educational and cultural exchange activities for a defined period. Returning home and sharing your experiences in the US and with American culture is an extremely vital part of the Bridge USA exchange program. Therefore, the J1 visa is not a pathway to another type of immigrant visa or permanent residency in the United States. The J1 exchange interns and trainees are required to return to their home countries upon completion of their programs. Therefore, changing your non-immigrant status while on program contradicts the fundamental objectives of the intern trainee program. It'll also result in your program being reviewed for termination. This includes applying for or taking steps to obtain a different visa, such as an H-1B, permanent residency, or citizenship. The Bridge USA J1 exchange visitors must finish their program and return to their home country before applying for a different or new visa. On this slide, you'll see what qualifies a J1 intern or a J1 trainee. I won't read through this. However, you should peruse this in your spare time if you're interested in seeing who qualifies as being a J1 intern and a J1 trainee. Role of Greenheart Exchange. So Greenheart Exchange is your Bridge USA intern trainee visa sponsor. We're designated by the Department of State to administer your program and help ensure your health, safety, and well-being while on your program. We're also the only nonprofit green J1 visa sponsor. We very much pride ourselves on enabling stakeholders to work together on projects that promote environmentalism, sustainability, and diplomacy. As a program participant, You'll receive ongoing program support and monitoring from our staff during office hours and emergency support through our 24/7 emergency hotline. We also help ensure that all stakeholders are compliant with Department of State program regulations. Program fees. So on the left of the screen, you'll see what is included in your program fees. This includes the J1 visa sponsorship or your DS 2019 form, the virtual pre-departure orientation, what we're completing now, and 24/7 on-program support, and etc. On the right side of the screen, you'll see what is not included in your program fees. This includes your visa interview or reciprocity fee, your non-refundable SEVIS fee, housing fees and related costs, meals, and much more. Some common expenses. It's very important that you understand some common expenses associated with your move to the US. Our aim is to better provide you with information so that you can plan your trip and enjoy your program without financial stress. Remember, you should arrive to the US with access to at least $1,500 worth of cash to cover the expenses below. These expenses may include housing, utilities such as heat, gas, electric, maybe even sometimes Wi-Fi, meals, spending money, and etc. Pre-departure. So you may ask yourself, what should I do before I travel to the United States? And what research should I complete before I arrive? Again, we're going to do our best to help answer some of these questions for you. Communicating with Greenheart. So pre-departure, you should communicate the date of your visa interview, the results of your visa interview, and if you're denied, you must indicate whether you plan on appealing or canceling. You must also communicate the date of your arrival to the United States so we know when we can expect you. If there are any changes to your arrival or start date, you must let us know as soon as possible. And if you anticipate arriving to the US more than 1 week past your DS 2019 start date, you must also let us know as soon as possible. You'll also receive reminder emails from Greenheart asking you to report this information in your Greenheart online account. Failure to promptly provide this information may negatively impact your program before it even begins. So it's very important that you communicate these items to us as soon as you know. Culture. Your J1 cultural exchange visa experience is a unique and exciting opportunity that not only allows you to gain experience in your chosen field, but also opens the door into the American way of life. So here are some questions you may want to ask yourself before you arrive. What activities do I want to do outside my intern trainee placement in the US? What events does my host company offer? What events and opportunities can I arrange for myself in the area where I'm residing? And what are some major cultural differences between my home country and the US? Again, these, these questions may help you better understand what you want your cultural experience to look like. It is your sole responsibility to research the area where you'll be living and training. Additionally, your coworkers and colleagues are a great resource and may have tons of ideas for events and activities you can take part in during your program. We also listed some travel guides located at these web addresses that you can peruse in your own spare time. Housing. So housing is a very important aspect of the intern training program. Participants are expected to live in a safe, reliable, and affordable housing location where they can safely transport themselves between their training site and home. Your safety is our utmost priority. If you ever feel unsafe, please contact Greenheart Exchange immediately. Again, you are solely responsible for arranging housing before arriving to the US. Here are some good tips in your housing research. So be aware of the distance from your housing to your host organization. Is this a safe distance? Will the area be safe to walk at night? Will you be safe to walk alone? And is there transportation available? What does this transportation look like? Is it a bike? Perhaps it might be a daily taxi ride or some sort of ride share. Please keep in mind that these things can be costly. Is this daily cost something that you can afford? Additionally, are you able to walk or bike to a local grocery store, a place to do laundry? Are you able to successfully transport yourself to an urgent care or some type of other medical service? Are you able to afford your housing? In the US, there may be hidden costs behind the cost of rent. So consider transportation costs to and from your training, in addition to expenses such as utilities, security deposits, personal items like toiletries, linens, and kitchenware. Temporary housing. If you're not able to secure permanent housing before you arrive to the US, you should consider arranging temporary housing for your first weeks in the US prior to your arrival. Some hosts may even offer to assist you or provide temporary housing. As a reminder, you must validate your program with your temporary housing address and update your housing address with Greenheart Exchange when you move. Below, you'll also find some tips about temporary housing to make sure you're safe in your first few days in the US. So make a reservation. Never expect there to be available rooms when you arrive. It's always best to inquire about these things weeks, maybe even months in advance. Research the area where the housing is located. Talk to your host and sending agency for guidance on where to look in the area. Hostels are also a great option for temporary housing. The Youth Hostel Association runs an online booking service so you can pre-book your nights. We've also included a couple of web resources on the right side of your screen. At the airport. So make sure the following documents are with you or in your carry-on. You'll need to present these documents to enter the US. So a valid passport with your J1 visa, your DS 2019 form, and your fully signed DS 7002, or otherwise known as your training plan or TIP. Never laminate or alter these original documents, as this may make them invalid. Keep these documents safe and secure throughout your program. We recommend that you make copies of these documents, including your J1 visa page, and keep them in a separate place in case they are lost or stolen. And of course, if any of these documents are ever lost or stolen, please contact Greenheart Exchange right away. Program requirements. So what is the TIP or the DS 7002? How do I validate my program? And when do I need to check in? The TIP. So the DS 7002 or TIP is the structure plan for your internship or training program. The tip outlines the different phases or rotations of your program, lists skills or concepts that you will learn during each phase, and it even explains how your learning progress will be measured. Additionally, the following Bridge USA program is met by following the phases in your DS 7002 training plan, such as introducing international professionals to US culture and business practices by living and working with Americans, providing international professionals the opportunity to develop their skills with hands-on application in their occupational field. And finally, they outline opportunities for the intern trainee to engage in American culture both in the office and beyond. Your DS 7002 or TIP is an official document submitted to the US Department of State. This means that all changes must be reported to the U.S. Department of State. It is extremely important that you notify Greenheart Exchange immediately of any changes to your tip. This may include changes in the role you'll be fulfilling during an individual phase, your daily duties or tasks that you are asked to complete during a phase, the order that the phases are being completed in, objectives, goals, or focus for an individual phase, the supervisor either for the phase or for your program overall, and any changes to your stipend, for example. The stipend refers to the amount of money you receive per hour or week from your host organization for the training that you've completed. Please keep in mind that the DS 7002 training plan is not a formal contract, so some flexibility may be required on your end. If you believe that there are any inconsistencies with your experience as compared to your training plan, please contact us right away so we can assist you in moving forward with your program. Program requirements, validations. So you must validate your program within 7 days of arriving to the US. The validation includes submitting the following information to Greenheart. This includes your current US housing address, even if it's temporary housing, your current host organization address, and your US phone number if applicable. Failure to validate your program will negatively impact your program and potentially your SEVIS record. If you change housing during your program, please ensure you update your new housing information within 24 hours of any move. On this slide, we provided you with an example of what a complete US housing address may look like. So you'll see a street number, typically a street name, a unit number if applicable. You may have to include a unit number if you are residing in an apartment or a condo, for an example, city, state, and zip code. The zip code should be a 5-digit code. SEVIS system. So the SEVIS stands for Student Exchange Visitor Information System. It is the government's tracking system that permits the Department of State to monitor your activity while you're here in the US. Greenheart Exchange is responsible for monitoring your program and is required to keep all your information up to date in SEVIS. So after your housing information is submitted to SEVIS, you'll receive an email directly from SEVIS notifying that you are active. You must update your housing address with Greenheart Exchange within 24 hours of moving. Failure to validate your program within 30 days of your DS 2019 program start date may put your program at risk. Check-ins. So you're required to check in with Greenheart Exchange throughout your program. You'll receive emails to remind you about most of these events. Check in with Greenheart Exchange and validate your program within 3 days after your arrival to the US. Complete your required monthly check-ins every 30 days with Greenheart Exchange throughout the duration of your program. We'll also email you to remind you. Complete check-ins at the end of each phase of your program. You should notify Greenheart of any changes in your training plan. In your check-in, you'll also want to report any changes to your US address, internship, training, any major life events or changes, or any problems you might have to Greenheart Exchange. You should remember that Greenheart Exchange is your visa sponsor, and we're responsible for your health, safety, and well-being while you're here in the US. Therefore, you must inform Greenheart of any situation that impacts you, your health, safety, well-being, your intern trainee position, or any part of your program. Your 30-day check-ins. So you're required to check in with Greenheart Exchange every 30 days throughout your program. Again, you'll also receive an email with directions on how to complete your check-in online, as well as reminders. In your check-in, you should let us know that how your program is going, report any questions or concerns you might have, report any new housing addresses, any changes to your tip or training conditions, any significant life changes or events that occurred in the last 30 days. Your Greenheart Exchange contact will also follow up with you about your questions or if you reported any issues in your monthly check-in. However, urgent, time-sensitive, or significant changes to your program should be reported immediately and directly to your Greenheart Exchange contact. Do not wait to report these in your monthly check-in. Instead, please follow up with us immediately. Phase check-ins. You will be required to check in during each phase of your training to make sure you're following your tip. You'll receive an email with directions on how to complete your phase check-in online. For your phase check-in, you will confirm your phase supervisor or report any changes in your supervisor, confirm your current duties match your tip, or report any changes in your duties. You'll set individual goals for the individual phase, and you can also report any concerns about your training or any problems that you might be having, such as your health, safety, well-being, things of this nature. Again, your Greenheart Exchange contact will follow up with you about any questions you might have or any issues that you reported during your phase check-in. Again, please know that any urgent, time-sensitive, or significant changes should be reported immediately to your Greenheart Exchange contact. Please do not wait to report these items. Evaluations. J1 interns and trainees are required by the U.S. Department of State to complete evaluations as a part of their program. The purpose of these evaluations is to ensure the quality of training and internship programs. Evaluation requirements are based on program length. You can see the table below for details. Greenheart Exchange will also remind you and your supervisor when evaluations are due. Evaluations can be submitted through your Greenheart Go online account. Failure to submit your evaluations will put your program at risk of termination. So it's very, very important that you submit all your evaluations on time. Contacting Greenheart. We touched on this a little bit. However, you still might have questions about when you should contact Greenheart and how you can get in contact with us. When to contact Greenheart. Again, Greenheart Exchange is here to support you throughout your program, especially if things do not go as planned. If any of the following things happen to you during your program, please contact us immediately. This includes if there are any changes to your internship or training, if you perform training or internship tasks or responsibilities that are not explicitly written in your tip, if you are not provided at least 32 hours of training every week, if you are away from, are not scheduled, or do not train for any reason for more than 10 days, if you have not been paid correctly and or promptly, if incorrect taxes are being deducted from your stipend, if there are any allegations or claims of misconduct by you or others inside your host organization, if you're issued a written warning, formal reprimand, or if your supervisor raises performance concerns with you. And of course, you should let us know if you're fired, let go, or if you would like to quit your position for any reason. To report any concerns or ask questions, you can simply email our dedicated intern trainee email inbox at this address. You can also reach out to your Greenheart Exchange contact directly. If you experience any significant life changes or events while on program, you must report them to Greenheart Exchange within 24 hours. Again, please do not wait. These changes may include, but are not limited to, your health. This includes accidents or injuries, mental health concerns, hospitalizations, or pregnancies. For your safety, this may include assaults, problems or concerns with your housing or host organization, interactions with law enforcement, police, or the legal system, such as the courts. And for your well-being, this may include traumatic events at home or at your host organization, marriage or divorce, or any general questions or concerns you may have. Again, you can email the dedicated intern trainee inbox or your Greenheart contact directly. Below are some common questions or inquiries that may come up during your program. Please note that some of these have deadlines by which you must contact Greenheart about these items. Program extension requests. So the deadline is that you must contact Greenheart at least 4 months before your original program end date. Program extensions are not guaranteed, even if you are eligible. If you'd like to travel outside of the US during your program, the deadline for this is that you should contact us at least 2 weeks before your anticipated date of travel. Exceptions may be made in emergency situations. You should also inform your host organization of any travel plans. Greenheart will not approve international travel without approval from your host organization. Additionally, your program must be in good standing with Greenheart Exchange. This means that all check-ins, evaluations, and other program requirements up to the time of travel must be completed. Additional insurance. The deadline for this is 3 weeks before your program end date if you need additional insurance covers. You must also ensure that you're insured for the entire time that you'll be in the US. This also includes your 30-day grace period or travel period. Social Security questions or concerns. The deadline is 10 weeks after applying for Social Security until 4 weeks before the end of your program. If you don't receive your Social Security number within 10 weeks of applying for it, you should contact Greenheart Exchange. You must have your Social Security card before the last 8 weeks of your program. Again, if you do not, please contact us right away. And program shortenings. If you want to leave your program early for any reason, you must notify Greenheart immediately. We'll discuss details about the program shortly. On this slide, we included our contact information. So you can also contact us through the Greenheart Online or the Go account. You can also complete your monthly check-ins, your midpoint and final evaluations, and you can also list any questions or concerns that you may have. We'll follow up with you via email or phone if you have these questions or concerns. Your on-program contact. As an intern and trainee, you'll be assigned to a Greenheart representative who you can connect with for assistance relating to your program. Their contact information will be shared with you in a welcome email at the start of your program. On the right side, you'll see our office hours. Our office is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5:30 p.m. Central Time. If you click on that hyperlink, you can find out what time it is where you are placed. And for any general inquiries, you can reach out to us using the following methods. We have our dedicated intern trainee inbox, our phone where you can reach as well, our website, and our 24/7 emergency hotline. Keep in mind, you should only use the emergency hotline for true emergencies. We'll touch on this a little bit later. Emergencies. The emergency number in the US is 911. While texting 911 is available in some areas, it may not be possible in all areas, so you should call 911 when you need it. The operator can send police, firefighters, or an ambulance to assist you. You should always follow the directions of the 911 operator. And if you accidentally call 911, please stay on the line and explain what happened. Do not hang up. All wireless phones, even those that are not subscribed to or supported by a specific carrier, can call 911. Again, here's Greenheart Exchange's emergency line. Emergencies may include situations like injuries, serious illnesses, family emergencies, housing or safety concerns, or urgent legal issues. For these kinds of serious problems, we're always available for you and encourage you to call us as soon as possible. What does not constitute as an emergency are inquiries about your CVIS status or things of that nature. We can assist you during regular business hours. Insurance. So you may ask, how can I use my health insurance? And what should I know about the US health insurance system? We'll briefly touch on both of these. Your general insurance information. The Student Zone has informational videos about insurance and laws in the US. We strongly recommend that you watch these videos. We've also included the web link there. The videos include information about the US healthcare system, mental health awareness, sexual assault awareness, drug and alcohol awareness, and transportation safety. While these videos are aimed at university students, the information can apply to everyone in the US. So again, you should view these videos when you have the time. What does my Point Comfort insurance cover? Your insurance covers doctor and urgent care visits, emergency room visits, prescriptions, and medically necessary prescribed COVID-19 tests after showing symptoms. In the next box, you'll see the participant out-of-pocket costs. And what is very, very important is to understand that your insurance may not cover the below items. These include accidents at your training, pregnancy, pre-existing conditions, and this includes mental health disorders, and some durable medical equipment such as crutches, boots, etc. Your insurance also does not cover non-emergency dental care or visits, an ambulance ride for ER visits if you're not admitted. It also does not cover purchasing over-the-counter medicine. So examples of this are Advil, Tylenol, Benadryl. The insurance does not cover COVID-19 tests that are not prescribed after showing symptoms, pre-existing COVID-19 symptom-related medical care, and any COVID-19 antibody test or vaccine. The insurance claim processing timeline. So here we included some steps that address the claim processing timeline. So say you injure your knee falling in the shower. Step 2 is that you visit a healthcare provider with a copy of your insurance card and you pay the $25 copay at the doctor's office. The doctor prescribes a painkiller. So step 3 would be you fill the prescription at a local pharmacy, and if it is in the Magellan prescription network, there's no cost. And if it is an out of network, you pay out of pocket and keep the receipt. Step 4 is that you would complete the following forms within 30 days of receiving care. You would complete the Point Comfort claims form for your doctor's visit and the Point Comfort general accident questionnaire. Then you would submit all of these forms to Point Comfort Insurance directly via email, or you can upload and submit a claim form online at the following address. Step 6, you would wait to be reimbursed by your insurance provider, Point Comfort Underwriters. This is just a general timeline. Please keep in mind that this may differ from case to case, and if you ever have any questions about your insurance, please let us know. However, it is always best to contact the insurance provider directly if you have any insurance related questions. They will have the most up-to-date information available for you. Insurance requirements. As a J1 intern trainee, you're required to enroll in health insurance compliant with the Department of State guidelines for your entire stay in the US. Greenheart automatically enrolls you in a Department of State compliant health insurance with Point Comfort underwriters. You might also hear us refer to Point Comfort as PCU. You can find more You can find out more about the provided coverage through the Point Comfort underwriters and download your insurance card in the student zone. By clicking on My Documents, you'll be able to download and access your insurance ID card, your insurance brochure, insurance visa letter, and your full policy certificate by entering the date of birth and the email address associated with your Go account. If you ever have any issues accessing these documents, please contact your Greenheart contact right away, or you can email us at our dedicated intern trainee inbox. If you arrive to the US before your start date or remain in the US after your end date for the 30-day grace period, you must ensure that you have enrolled in health insurance during that time. And if you're approved to bring a J2 spouse or J2 dependents with you during your program, you're responsible for enrolling them in Department of State compliant healthcare plan on your own. Of course, if you have any questions about these requirements, please contact us right away. Using your insurance. So you should always carry your insurance card with you. If you need assistance in downloading your insurance ID card, please contact us. Again, your insurance card can be downloaded from the following website. You should also ensure that you review your insurance brochure. This brochure contains information about what treatments are and are not covered by your insurance plan. For example, dental care and prenatal care, pre-existing conditions, and many other forms of care are not covered by your insurance. If you ever need to contact your insurance provider directly, you can use the following methods. Travel. So, what should I know about traveling in the US? And what if I need to travel outside the US during my program? Firstly, we wanted to provide you some traveling tips so that you can stay safe during your trips. You should always travel with friends or family whenever possible. Wear a helmet when riding a bike, moped, or motorcycle. You should follow all traffic rules, especially in high traffic areas. Take a map and plan ahead. You should research hotels, hostels, and transportation if you're traveling for more than one day. It's a good idea to tell friends or coworkers where you're going and when you'll be back, so someone knows when to expect you. You should also keep a reliable way to stay in contact with your friends, family, and even Greenheart. Take all of your Greenheart Exchange CAP documents. You should always make copies just in case you lose them. Lock up your valuables and important documents. Never hitchhike, and dial 911 in case of emergency. Ours. So, Greenheart Exchange does not recommend intern trainees drive or purchase a car while in the However, if you decide to drive or purchase a car in the US, here's some important things to remember. Your driver's license. So make sure your driver's license is valid for use in the US. You can find helpful information at this website address. Another thing you'll have to have is car insurance. Please keep in mind that your health insurance is not car insurance. The health insurance provided through your program does not cover you if you are driving. It also does not count as insurance for your vehicle. Driving without proper insurance is both dangerous and illegal. Your car must be properly insured every time you drive it, including the first time. Additionally, you'll need to make sure that your car is properly registered in the state where you live. Driving an unregistered car is against the US law. Should always follow traffic laws. Each state has its own traffic laws, but here's an article that summarizes common US traffic laws. International travel while on your program. So if you're traveling before your DS 2019 end date, you'll need approved time off from your host organization. Again, Greenheart will not approve any international travel requests without the approval of your host. Your host can deny your request for time off. Once you get your travel plans approved by your host or supervisor, you should reach out to Greenheart Exchange directly for further assistance. You may also be asked to provide proof of your host confirmation. Greenheart will also need to sign the travel authorization on your DS 2019 form before you begin traveling. This is to ensure you have no difficulties with re-entering the US. More information about this process will be provided to you when you contact us about this inquiry. Your visa and passport must also be valid throughout the dates you wish to travel for. If you travel outside the US with an expired passport or visa, or it even expires during your travels, you will not be allowed reentry until you have valid documents. You should also check your visa to ensure you are allowed multiple reentries to the US. As an important reminder, you are not permitted to be away from your training for more than 30 days. If you exceed this timeline, your program will be shortened in good standing. Social Security and taxes. So how do I apply for Social Security and what taxes do I pay? How to apply? To train an intern on your program and for US tax purposes, you'll need a Social Security card. You can find directions on how to apply for your Social Security card below. It's a very good idea to call the Social Security office before going to confirm their hours of operation and what documents are needed. Usually they ask for the following: couple copies of your passport, 2 copies of your visa, 2 copies of your DS 2019 form, 2 copies of your I-94 card front and back, and 2 copies of your signed offer letter from your host organization. You must have both the originals and copies of all these documents. Please note, the name and other information on your Social Security application must match the information on your passport. You can refer to the participant handbook for additional information on this. Social Security recommends that you apply 10 days after you become active in SEVIS. You'll receive an email directly from SEVIS when you become active. And when you apply for Social Security, you'll be given a receipt acknowledging that you have applied. You should bring this receipt to your host organization for their records. You should receive your Social Security card in the mail after you apply. It can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks for your new card to arrive. If you do not receive your card within 8 weeks of applying, you should call the Social Security office where you applied for an update. After, after you receive your Social Security number, you'll need to give this number to your employer. Once you receive the card, you should provide a copy to your host organization or the Human Resources Department. As an intern trainee, you may begin training and your host organization can pay you before you receive your Social Security card or number. If your host organization has any questions or concerns, please have them contact Greenheart Exchange. Please do not provide your Social Security information to anyone other than your host organization, bank if you decide to open an account, medical care office, or trusted establishments for background check or credit check purposes. Some common questions about taxes. It's required by US law that you complete a W-4 before beginning your intern trainee program. This form tells your host organization how much tax to take out of your check during each pay period for taxes. The W-4 is designed for resident U.S. workers. Since you are a non-resident U.S. alien, you should fill out the form slightly differently. You should pay local, state, and federal taxes. However, you should not pay Social Security, Medicare, or federal unemployment tax. For additional instructions on completing your W-4, you can visit the below web address. Filing your taxes. Unfortunately, Greenheart cannot provide tax advice as we are not certified tax professionals. Thus, we cannot provide any other information than what we've included below. To file your taxes, you'll need your W-2 form to complete your taxes. W-2 forms are issued by your host organization each year by January 31st. If you have not received your W-2 form by this date, please speak with your host organization right away. The deadline to submit your taxes each year is April 15th. As a non-resident alien or Bridge USA J1 visa holder, you are not eligible to use from companies such as TurboTax or H&R Block. These services are intended for U.S. citizens, and you may file your taxes using the wrong form. Sprintax is a common tax preparation service that many participants use to file their taxes correctly. Their services are available for an additional cost. The IRS is the agency within the US government in charge of making sure everyone pays their taxes. You can find more information about the IRS at these below websites. The IRS also has many staff at US embassies abroad. You can contact them if you have specific questions about how to file your taxes. Typically, you'll need the following documents to file your taxes: a copy of your last paycheck, your social security card or number, a copy of your DS 2019, a copy of your J1 visa, and your W-2 form. US customs, culture, and laws. So, what should I expect from the people in the US? How can I succeed? And what are my rights? Training in a US host organization may be very different from training in your home country. Below, we've included some advice on what to expect when you begin your training. So be prepared. Learn about time management strategies and intern trainee expectations in the US before you arrive. Your host may also have their own expectations and standards. So it's always best to ask your host organization for any information or training you can do before your traineeship or internship begins to better prepare yourself. Ask questions. So if you don't know how to do something or you don't understand, ask your supervisor, a mentor, or a colleague for more information. Asking questions is always encouraged. If you don't ask, people will assume that you know and understand. It's always best to confirm any information with a supervisor as well. Advocate for yourself. You need to be your own advocate. Speak up for what you need at your host, but do so in a professional manner. If you have a problem or a concern, speak about it with your direct supervisor or HR representative. Be professional. Always keep your interactions with colleagues, fellow staff, and customers professional. You should observe how others speak and act while you're training. Perhaps you might even learn something. In general, Green Art expects you to communicate. So this includes checking your email and Greenheart Online account at least once a week for important reminders and updates. You should also let us know what's going on and ask any questions you may have. No second jobs. All interns and trainees are not permitted to have second jobs or training programs during their intern or trainee program. Greenheart also expects that you behave responsibly. Do not take part in actions that may bring disrepute to you, your country, the J1 Intern-Trainee program, Greenheart, or your host organization. We expect that you'll be a cultural ambassador. So share your culture and story with those who you meet. Learn about the US and other cultures. Actively participate in your cultural exchange. On the flip side, your host organization expects you to be punctual. So this includes being on time. In the US, your shift start time is when you should be clocked in and ready to work. You should focus on your training. Follow the rules, listen to your supervisor, and train hard. Always look professional. So your clothes should always be clean and presentable. Communicate. Again, ask questions, raise concerns, even problems with your host organization as they arise. If people do not know that you have issues, problems, or concerns, we cannot help you. Remember to keep a positive attitude. So be friendly, professional, and courteous to your supervisor, coworkers, and everyone you meet. And at the end of the day, we would like for you to speak English. You shouldn't be embarrassed, and practicing is a huge part of this program. As a participant on the J1 Intern-Trainee program, you have many duties. However, your host organization does as well. These include following your DS 7002 or TIP. Your host organization must also provide you with at least 32 hours of training per week. They must also provide a clean and safe training environment, a W-4 during your onboarding, and a W-2 for your taxes. And your host organization must also provide a positive atmosphere for cultural exchange. Life and customs in the US. Customs and traditions in the US may seem unusual, but many aspects of US culture will be different from your home country. Space. So observe others around you. Give people a comfortable distance when you're standing in line or having a conversation. Time. In the US, time is treated as a commodity. Sometimes it might seem like everyone in the US is in a rush. Waiters may hurry you and people may push past you. Don't take this personally. Greetings. People in the US, both men and women, may shake hands with me when meeting. It's unusual for people to kiss hello unless they know each other very well. Hugs are common and less personal than a kiss, but be careful when initiating physical contact until you see how others are behaving. Your training. In most training environments in the US, people are on a first name basis, which can be uncomfortable for people from some countries. People may also train for long hours in the US, but may go out together after their duties are completed to socialize. Identification. It's also customary to always have an ID on you, especially to enter a bar. You should always leave your passport at home, though. Just carry a copy with you. If you have any questions about this, you can contact us directly. However, we've included more information about US customs and traditions in your participant handbook. Your rights. So you're here legally on the J1 Bridge USA Intern-Trainee visa. Therefore, you're entitled to all the legal rights that the US nationals have in the judicial system while you're here. These include the following rights when dealing with law enforcement, such as the police or the judicial system, judges, and trials. You can also review the Wilberforce pamphlet, which addresses your rights as you begin training and interning in the US. You can click on the link below. Important laws. So you are subject to all the laws and regulations in the US, even though you're not a citizen. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. If you're involved in any illegal activities and found guilty, you may serve jail time or be deported without hope of entering the US in the future. should always avoid getting into trouble. Making changes to your program. So you might have questions about if you can change your host organization, how you can extend your program, or how you can travel. Transfers. So transfers are only accepted in rare and extreme circumstances. If you feel that you want or need to transfer to a different host organization, you should reach out to us right away so we may speak more with you in depth. We evaluate every situation and request on a case-by-case basis. We touched on this in the past. However, extensions are only accepted if you meet certain requirements. Even if you are eligible, extensions are not always guaranteed. Typically, we must assess how an extension of your program will benefit you professionally. We must also understand the reasoning for this request. Again, all extension requests must be made at least 4 months before your DS 2019 end date. All requests made after this timeline are automatically denied. And if you work with a sending agency, they must be able to assist with the program extension process. If they cannot assist, we will not move forward with the program extension for you. For Greenheart fees, Greenheart charges a $500 program extension fee and a $20 per week for additional insurance. This fee is not prorated. Some sending agencies may also charge additional fees on their side to assist you with the program extension. Please ensure you follow up with your sending agency for more information about pricing from their end. Program shortenings. Again, you can elect to shorten your program in good standing at any point. You must contact us right away if you'd like to shorten your program and begin your grace period. Failure to let Greenheart know that you would like to leave your program early can result up to the termination of your program. So it's very important that you communicate this to us. Once you've spoken to your Greenheart Exchange contact and they have approved your request to shorten your program, you must also notify your host organization. It is your sole responsibility to discuss your last day and plans to return home. In certain cases, Greenheart may also elect to shorten your program in good standing for the betterment of your health, safety, or well-being. If Greenheart shortens your program for any reason, you will not receive a refund. You can refer to the CAP terms and conditions for more information. In any case of program shortening, you must provide Greenheart with confirmation of your departure flight and itinerary. You must plan to return home within your grace period. Failure to communicate your departure plan with Greenheart and or remain in the US past your grace period can result in program termination. It's always best that you communicate any changes to your program with Greenheart. Terms and conditions. So where can I find them? You agree to Greenheart Exchange's terms and conditions when you apply for the program. The terms and conditions are available online through your Greenheart Online Go account. Please contact Greenheart Exchange for a direct link to your TNC. You agree to all the terms outlined in your TNC and participant handbook. These include following Greenheart Exchange's policies, rules, and procedures. This includes, but are not limited to, check-in requirements, program placement, housing, money and finances, application requirements, and processing. Greenheart Exchange will do our best to remind and guide you through the program requirements. However, ignorance of or not knowing these requirements is not a valid excuse. So if you do not know, please ask Greenheart Exchange. We're here to assist you and answer your questions. Greenheart Club and more. Greenheart Club. The Greenheart Exchange offers enriching volunteer opportunities for participants while in the U.S. through our volunteer network, the Greenheart Club. You can log your volunteer hours, connect with other volunteers, and even earn rewards. Interns and trainees who volunteer can earn the prestigious distinction of Global Service Leader. This is recognized with a certificate of achievement and the opportunity to apply for service project grants based on your commitment to continue your service. Here, we've also listed some program specific resources. You should peruse these resources in your own time. Well, this is now the end of your CAP pre-departure orientation. We all wish that you have a great time here in the US and are able to have many life-changing experiences. Again, we're always here to assist you with your concerns or questions. Do not be afraid to contact us at any time. We'll be in touch with you soon. Please remember to complete the short quiz right after finishing this orientation. See you soon.